Michael in the TMI lab, just refactoring the studio a little bit to get some stuff set up for a project that's coming up. Decided to hit the equipment locker and pull out a few items. This is a neat little Drumbrute, the original one from Arturia. This one was DOA when we got it, and it ended up just going into the closet for a while. So here's the problem, and you may have this. This is a known issue, and there is a known solution. So if you have one of these and you're getting this snare doesn't sound like a snare, and it has artifacts in the background, little kind of a crunchy. Here's the clap. No matter what you set here, you're going to get nothing. It's just artifacts. And then the maracas and tambourine, nothing. Maracas, nothing. So that and the snare and the clap is dead. The clap is dead. Just a little click here and there. So this is a problem with the main board. And so I contacted Arturia, sent them the information they need along with the video to show them what's going on. I already knew what the solution was, and still had to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to get them to just go, okay, yeah, we'll send you the part you need. So got the part, and the part is this board right here. So I figured I'd go ahead and record this swap for anybody else that's suffering through that same situation. This is kind of old tech now, but there's still some good uses to it. A little post-processing really shapes it up nicely, and the way that it's laid out I like. So this is a good unit, and it's worth the effort. So decided to go ahead and do this. I'm going to record it for you, and hopefully this helps somebody. All right, here we are, Drumbrute on the bench. So we are going to start by removing screws. I think there are 11 of these. I'm going to fast forward through some of this because I know you guys don't want to spend a lot of time listening to me yap. But this is pretty straightforward. The Drumbrute, you got mixed reviews on it, and everything kind of has its season audio production, but I've got an equipment room basically that has, I don't know, probably got about a dozen synths in there, and we've got a bunch of rack stuff, and we got drum machines, and this one I think will fill the bill for what we need. Once you add the some processing behind this, it really sounds better than out of the box, as they say. I remember there was a guy that came into our studio, and I had everything set up for him. He wanted to record a demo, and he ended up bringing his own machine, drum machine, and it was, I believe it was a 505. And it was pretty cool. I mean, everybody has their preference, and there's been more than one time where someone's who's brought something in just for the purposes of recording their project because they wanted something specific. Usually they'll ask, they'll say, hey, what kind of gear do you have? And then bring whatever they want. So there's, I think I counted 11 screws to get the back out. And then you have these screws here for this board, and this is what we are replacing. So this is an instance where there was, I guess, an issue with their, I don't know if it's a logic gate or something. There's some kind of ICs or something, I think. I'm not sure if it was actual sound generation, or I didn't spend the time to look into the fault. I just knew that this was how this particular issue was resolved. And I didn't waste time. I just went ahead and went for the board, getting the replacement. And Arturia is pretty quick to send it out to you. They're going to check the serial number, proof of purchase, all that neat stuff. And as long as you have your ducks in a row, you can get that sent to you. It didn't cost me a dime. So this was kind of on some other kind of a product. It might be a recall, you know, but this was a known issue, and I'm sure they came out okay in the end, but they had to manufacture replacement boards and then just on demand send those out. So there's still a lot of these units out there that don't have this correction to them made. First thing they're going to tell you to do is make sure the software is updated. That's pretty straightforward. They put us through that too. I had to go in, download the file, and update the firmware. I knew it wouldn't help, but I had to go through that step. I think version 1.12 maybe, if I'm recalling that correctly. And of course it didn't solve the problem, because the problem is a hardware issue. And the only way to get around that, of course, is to replace the board. That's the most feasible. So we've got some ribbon cables you want to be very careful of. These guys here that are just kind of plugged straight down, they should lift up. Yep. That one. This one. We've got this fella here. We're going to take one side of it up and kind of jiggle it. There it is. It's clear. We got a lot of snow coming. Some more winter weather headed our way. So it's a good time to get some of these little projects taken care of. So here's another one that goes straight up. And I'm putting the screwdriver underneath because I want an even pull. Just kind of wiggle it and pull it up. So I kind of put this under here, press it to it. You don't want to stress any particular part on these, but be very careful. Do that. These little guys here, there's a little lock on them. You just push that up, push this one up, and that should release the death grip that it has on there. Same thing here, little lock. Hopefully you can see that. And pull it up. That's it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ribbon cables. A variety of them. And then I believe, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I've never done this before, obviously. I mean, it's not like I have a whole suite of these things. I need to pull these knobs. So I just got a little flat driver putting under there. Pull up on the knob, give it a little twist, and that will safely pull them up. So all of these come up. All the knobs are the same. You don't have to remember which go where. Unfortunately, I went ahead and we're doing a replacement, so it doesn't matter if I doink up the board. But yeah, you'll want to do this first. Do as I say, not as I do. Because this is, since the board's already unscrewed there. Yeah, do the knobs before you unscrew the board. So because the board is already released, it's just kind of spongy here as I'm pulling these off. 6 of one, a half dozen another. It doesn't really matter. Since we're doing a replacement, I'm not concerned if I do actually cause any more damage on that board. However, the board does have an awful lot of pots, and there's nothing wrong with the pots. So I'm thinking spare parts. That's always a good thing. I said I would fast forward through this, but you can fast forward if you like. Hold that in place for a sec. We have all these little guys here that we will... I don't think these are on the replacement, so we may end up having to use those. Nope, they are not. So we will reuse those. That'd probably be the more time consuming of the process. And there we go. Just that quick, in real time. Out with the bad, in with the good. I don't know if there's any actual physical changes. I think it's just a component change. So analog revision E1 C1. So there may be some trace. Oh, I do see a lot of change. Oh wow. Yeah, they had to re-engineer this thing. So you have on the old one. Wow. Okay. So in the old one, you've got a couple of caps here. You've got a few more here that aren't on the original. I see different values. Yeah, there's some changes there. Interesting. Okay. All right. Huh. I'm curious on the traces. Oh yeah, there's audio output. They're not even utilizing all of the pins on the audio out on the P3. So they've added more. This is almost looking like they had an underdeveloped board, because that's interesting. It's like, oh man, you printed the wrong version of that board. Well, we've already got the stuff out there. Well, as they complain, we'll do it. But look at the traces here on the new. This is the replacement, the E3, versus here. They're not even connected. And those traces go around. I bet you if we followed them, they're going to be to the tambourine and blah, blah, blah. Interesting. Huh. Anyway, good pots. You got LEDs. You got some pads there. I don't know if you can do anything with them, but I'll hang on to it. Free pots, man. All right. Double checking revision E1 analog board. The C1 came out and the E1's going in. Let's see. Yep. Very good. So it's a direct replacement. So now we have our pads here that we need to make sure are seated. Don't touch the carbon pads. There's no need to touch them. You don't want your finger goobers on them. By that I mean oils. I'm going to check the pads and make sure they all look good. I don't think we have to clean any pads. Very good. All right, excellent. All right, so I'm going to put a little spacer here. Just a rolled up grounding pad. Yep. Wow. In a rush to get these in the market? Is that what happened? You know, things like that do happen. We need to hurry up and get that released out. All right, send the stuff over to the manufacturer and let's get these things going. Oh, you sent the wrong one. We hadn't worked out those 4 buttons. Crazy. All right, so I'm just pulling these little ribbons out of the way so I can lower this on there. I may have gone from back to front, might have been a better option, I don't know. Again, I've never done this before. So so my first time, and probably your first time. I don't know if anybody else recorded doing this. There may be a better video out there than what I'm providing. I don't know. Like I always say, I'm not the best. I've been around the block a time or two. Alright, so these little spacers here, I'm going to put one right dead center, just to kind of hold things together while I get the rest. Pretty straightforward. Direct replacements are usually straightforward, easy. It's not rocket surgery. So that is it. But do check those pads, those carbon pads. You want to make sure that there's not some weird thing happen. One of the common things that I see, and this is for, in those carbon pads, you'll find those in just about everything. Keyboards, anything with buttons, your control buttons, as well as your, not the older, but the newer key assemblies, keyboard assemblies, because that's how they do it. And you will want to check those and make sure somebody didn't drop a soda that leaked all over the place. And those carbon pads, I have rebuilt one before. It can be done. Not fun, not something that I would recommend doing unless you just can't find the original part. But a little alcohol will work. The Q-tip, just kind of clean them up. And don't scrub it like crazy, but let's go ahead and open those on. This may be where you fast forward. I'll leave it to you guys to fast forward through it. I'll keep it real time. Anyway. Yeah, so the project I got coming up is for a series, TV series. I can't say the name. And I'm doing all of the scoring for it. And because of the nature of the series, I thought that, you know, this will provide some good bass, basic drum sounds, and some after effects on it. Really improves the sound of it. You can do just about anything you want to do on just about any decent drum machine. I think it all comes down to the bass sounds and the control. In some cases, hey, I just need a tom here or something or whatever. But you're going to process it after the fact. Doesn't really matter. You just need a bass, a good bass audio file or sample or whatever you got, waveform. And post-processing does miracles for stuff. But yeah, it's actually, the controls on the Drumbrute are pretty good. I mean, the way that they've got it structured, when you can lay down a percussive line and loop it around and play with it and get it where you want it. So it does just fine for that. Anyway, another Drumbrute salvaged and put back into use. And the one that came after this, I believe, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, was Impact. Drumbrute Impact. And I think that it's a worthy successor to this. And with all the VSTs out there, I know how people think about, well, why would I buy any hardware when I got VSTs for everything? Yeah, I've got an opinion on that too. And there are good VSTs, virtual instruments out there for a lot of stuff, but in my humble, learned opinion, I don't think you can beat having hardware. I do have VSTs and I do use them. I have one for OBX that's pretty good that I've used occasionally. And I don't really use gear, I don't use all the gear that I own. I've got an awful lot of it. But when I do use it, it's not for every single thing that I do. So I do revamp or retool the studio when I have a project come in. I give it a lot of thought because you're doing sound design and it's important. The choices you make are important, of course, to your final product. And I prefer having a lot of options, so I have a lot of gear. But I don't have anything that I would say, man, every single project I use this. Apart from obvious things like the controller I use. I mean, for now, anyway, the one that I've used on quite a few projects. And just comes down to what you're accustomed to working with, what you like. All right, so when you're doing this, take your time. I'm trying to keep it going. I think I've got that down firm enough that I don't have to use that little pad. Put that aside. Take your time on it. The important thing is to make sure that your ribbon cables, you're not putting undue stress on them when you put them back in. Make sure you're putting them back in right. Don't forget the locks where it has locks. Usually they're friction fit, but you don't want to be fighting a lock trying to undo a ribbon cable because you're just going to cause damage when you do that. But if all the repairs I did were this simple, if only. This is actually a really easy one. Board replacements. I mean, can't get easier than that, right? It's one step above battery replacements. I have in the studio currently set up a Korg D16XD. I have a DAW. I have a couple of DAWs. One that I stopped using, and I've really got a bone to pick with the PreSonus people on that. But yeah, Studio One is no longer in this lab. No more. I don't understand why they do what they do, but I'm so upset with PreSonus now that no more gear from them, and I'm not going to use their products at all. And some of you may be a fan of the Studio One. That's cool. It's your prerogative. But every time I would start up the computer that has that on it, our main lab computer for all of our processing, I had that on there, and we don't have much room to grab this on the left because of the position of that. And I don't feel like it's got a good contact right now, so I'm going to do something I normally don't do. Double it. There we go. I felt it. I don't like putting creases in those. Anyway, every time I would start up Studio One, or the PreSonus DAW that I use, it would make me re-register the software. I've had the same version of Studio One for years, and they did something to change it. And they're more concerned with people ripping off their software than they are making sure that people that invested the money and have used it have easy access to it. So they did something, they changed something. And every time I turn off the main machine that we use, our computer, and turn it back on, you have to, and start that up, you have to re-register the software. And you can have like 5 licenses or something. So I go out there and I have to delete a couple of them so I can create a new license, even though it's on the same machine it's been on since day one. Well, not day one. We did have an upgrade. But yeah, for some reason, you have to re-register it. And I complained about it. And they sent this real long explanation of, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I went through some of it, and then I finally said, you know what? This is wrong. I'm not going to mess with this anymore. It's just taking too much time, and it was very lengthy. And I'm sure somebody out there hearing me talk about this, and they're like, yeah, that happened to me too. Because if you have an older version, they really want you to give them more money and get a newer version, even though you're used to what you got. You've been working with it. It's working fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And yeah, they want you to upgrade. And they're going to make it a pain until you do. All right. Everything feels good. Buttons are fine. Going to double check. Yep, good. So, yeah, not a fan. Does anybody else have that issue? Curious. So, got rid of it. I no longer use the software at all. And I do have some of their audio boxes in here. And I still have those in service, unfortunately. You know, the easiest way to do this is to turn these things all the way to the left and just line it up instead of trying to feel your way through it. Anyway, just putting on the knobs now. So Studio One is out. I like Reaper. What's your favorite DAW? Let me know. I really like Reaper. I like everything about Reaper. I like the at the core of it all, it's they're set up completely different than PreSonus and some of these other bigger DAWs. And I've used a couple of them. A long time ago, I used one called GarageBand. I don't know if anybody has any fond memories of that, but it was pretty capable as well. But it takes time to really learn and get comfortable with a good DAW to where you can be productive. And what I like about Reaper is they don't do a lot of changes. If you stay up with it, it's easy to kind of assimilate to their updates and the new features and all that neat stuff. Whereas some of these other players, they'll change so much that your workflow changes so much that you have to stop and re-educate yourself on it. And I got to have more productivity than that. I've got a lot of stuff that I work on, and I can't devote the time to learning something over. Similar thing with Photoshop. I have a book that's coming out very soon, waiting for the last rounds of edits. And I'll be doing, I'm actually started the screenplay already. But I was going to do an audio book and have a full theatrical type, you know, orchestral, I should say, thing on it. Do all the voices, get all that stuff. I do a lot of voiceover work. So I was going to do the whole thing there. And forgot why I was bringing that up. But a lot of projects. Alright, all the knobs are going on quickly now. And I'm pretty confident with this, so I'm not going to bother testing it before I seal this thing up. felt good on the ribbon cables are the only thing that I would be concerned with, but pad placement, the contacts, everything's good. I am not concerned. 3, 2, and 1. Bada bing, bang boom. So you take the knobs off from here down. Don't mess with any of those. You don't need to. There we go. One final check. Everything's good. Those are in all the way. They are locked. Yep. Very good. And then we'll put our back on. But yeah, Arturia was pretty cool with sending that. And it got here pretty quick. It only took like a week. And they said, okay, we're going to send you the part you need to replace. They didn't send me any instructions or anything. Just the part. And a little slip of paper that says, this is the part. In case you didn't know, I guess. Order numbers and all that. And that's it. They know I'm an engineer and I work on stuff, though. Maybe that's why they didn't bother saying, hey, go here and get the instructions. Or maybe they did and I just ignored it. I don't know. But I have been in the industry for a long time. I've worked on just about everything you can think of at one point. And it's kind of a labor of love, but sometimes it's all business. You don't feel like doing it, but you got to. Get that thing going. We got a project waiting. When you have a director breathing down your neck, especially. Yeah, we got to get this out. We need a first revision ASAP. Well, wait a minute. I got to fix my DX7. And it's not like I have a lot of redundancies for stuff either. But when I pull something out of storage and I'm like, okay, I think this will be perfect for this or whatever. That's the first thing I do is I hook it up, test it out, and make sure that's all functioning the way it's supposed to. All right, so I've got, and that's what happened here. I ended up hooking it up going, whoa, oh, that's why we bought that and stuck it in a closet for a couple of years. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Anyway, got one more screw here, and I'm going to hook it back up and test it live with you right now. All right, here we are. Mr. Drumbrute hooked up. Make sure you can see. All right, we are powered up. Oh, I guess we turned everything down, didn't we? Let's turn everything up. Turn it all up. All right, kick. Yeah, let's turn some of these values up. Snap, sharp, tone, snare. We want a little. Hey, it works. That sounds more like a snare-ish. Clap. Clap. That's a clap. Closed hi-hat. Rim tone, good. Open hi-hat. Gotta have delay on that for that. Tom, low and high, pitch, mid. There you go. Cymbal. Cymbal, other cymbal. Reverse cymbal. Maracas. Here we go. Tambourine. Hey. And of course, you gotta have zap, right? All right. That's that. Well, that was pretty easy. I hope that helps somebody out. I guess I need to make sure that I have no idea if I didn't look. Let me take a look at this. Turn it off, back on, and make sure that our software is 1, 2, 1. That's what it is. Okay, it is. And we're back in business. Yay! All right, guys. Hope that helps somebody. As always, if you have any comments, leave them. like, subscribe, thumbs up, or whatever you guys do. I don't know. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I'll do what I can. I don't know everything, but I've been around a day or two on this, so I might be able to help you with whatever you're working on. Rock on.